Welcome to Bridge the Gap with host Josh and Lucas, a podcast dedicated to informing, educating, and influencing the future of housing and services for seniors. Powered by our supporting partners, NHI, TSOLife, NRC Health, ERDMAN, Sherpa, TIS, and Rcare. Find out more about this podcast at btgvoice.com.
Welcome to Bridge the Gap podcast, the senior living podcast with Josh and Lucas. We're at the NRC Symposium, and we're here with their keynote speaker. We're here with Dustin Garis, and he is the chief troublemaker of every organization that he's ever been involved with. I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile. We're talking about Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Amex, Ericsson. I mean, you're at very, very high levels. You're flying high.
I think that's what that means. I work way too hard.
So help give some framework to our listeners about your background, why you're here, and then we'll talk about the hashtag Life Profit.
Sure. So my background has been very much about helping companies go through a transformation of sorts, right? Everyone starts in a certain place and they realize that we have to change to some degree. And in order to change, that means you're going to have to ruffle a few feathers, right? Create a little bit of trouble, in a sense. And my philosophy is that that's critical to innovation as a whole, because if we spend our time just as a problem solver, we are already behind the eight, because we're solving problems that exist today versus causing the disruption of what needs to change for tomorrow. So somebody's got to come in and help shake things up to see what a different alternative future could be and how the heck.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. So unpack this a little bit, Lucas. You were able to hear the full Monty, but we have a very condensed time. So
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
Well, and one of the questions there at the end, a guy stood up and said is one of the best keynote speeches that he's ever heard.
That wasn't a plant. I was shocked. I mean, normally I have to pay audience members for that, but.
So how did you inspire the audience today?
I think it has to do with the fact that I didn't want to take an approach about the business itself, but really think about, why are we all here? Like, what's the point? Like, literally, what's the point of our existence? And then ladder that up to what's the point of our role at our particular companies that we're in. And that when we understand that fundamental human insight about what motivates us, what's the point of all this work that we're doing, that becomes the foundation on top of which we could build everything else. And so that's where I thought it was really important to start from that core understanding. And that nugget that I went with was that universally, just as humans, we aspire to live this memorable life. And yet the reality is that we don't, for most of us. In most cases, we are just going through the motions in some pretty forgettable routine. This is just our life, and it's getting worse the older we get, typically speaking. So when we see this, I mean, we could get really upset and depressed about it, or we could say, wow, what a huge opportunity for businesses, for organizations, even for individuals to say, how do we disrupt that? How do we break that pattern, make life more memorable? It doesn't have to be hard to do. So that was really the focus. If I could do one thing today, it would just shake the audience and be like, why are we here? Like, remember, this is the point. Let's have some fun now and enjoy this experience.
Well, it sounds like it was memorable based on the energy of everyone coming out of there. I actually missed it. Lucas got to hear it. But I think there's a rumbles of a hashtag forming around this keynote, right?
Hashtag Life Profit.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more a little bit about that and the application. So,
sure. So the idea of Life Profit was really in contrast to where our current focus is. You know, we spend so much of our attention on these classic KPIs. You know, what it is that we determine whether or not we've been successful today, if our organization has been successful. And we realize we don't really have a good metrics for that. We have sales and costs and retention and tweets and clicks, but what do we have to measure to what degree did we increase the richness of people's lives today? To what degree do we make today memorable for one of our customers or one of our patients or one of our residents? And so that's where the term life profit came to mind. it's that incremental richness of life experience, not just the financial profit, that we've got to pay attention to. Fortunately, it's not just the right thing to do for humanity, but it's smart business. There is a direct correlation between generating life profit and financial profit. Because the more that you enrich someone's life, the more you build that more authentic connection, which is tied to that loyalty and that advocacy. And how do you create these just raving fans that absolutely love you because you are demonstrating a love for them and making sure that they're, especially in this industry, the last of their years are the most fantastic. I love the opportunity in this particular industry, in the senior living care facilities that have such extraordinary opportunity to make these moments really remarkable.
That's a great parlay into a big initiative that Josh and I are a part of, and that is changing public perception about what senior living is. You have been a part of a massively viral campaign with Procter & Gamble around the stigma or the idea of, I think it was hashtag or like a girl. Are there some takeaways that the senior living industry can learn from that campaign to use to change public perception about what senior living is?
Indeed. You know, there's such this, to some degree, I'd say it's a fallacy that the millennials are all about this experiential generation. And sure, they might be the most loud about it, let's say, or the most visible about it, but that mindset has spread to all generations, whether it's baby boomers and beyond, where especially people, as they get older in life, they realize how valuable our time is, you know, as the most valuable asset in the world and also the most scarce resource in the world. So they start to treasure it more and they want opportunities to make these days more significant. And the reality is that someone even later in their years has an opportunity to live even more than a younger person, and that more millennial, let's say. Can they have more memorable days as a proportion to the overall days that they're living? And so I think that there's huge opportunity to recognize that in this generation, those that are using senior care facilities, they want moments to be special, and they are willing to go for it in many cases.
Sure.
So sometimes they may need help. They need inspiration for some ideas, or they may need someone to help facilitate and to bring them along. You know, we all had friends like this, even growing up, those that always brought us along. Hey, let's go do this, or hey, what about this idea? And in many cases, we like, no, what's the point? Why do that? And now we look back and we're like, that was so special. Like, thank you so much. So how can we, within these facilities, how can we play that role? How could we be that character, that friend in these people's lives, in these residents' lives that do create those moments that they want to be a part of? And I tell you, once you get them started, the residents will take over.
Sure.
They're going to feel like, oh my gosh, we have such abilities to do fantastic things. And it doesn't have to be extraordinary. I'm not talking about jumping out of an airplane all the time. It could be, what do we do for lunch that's special?
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you a quick story. I think it might be. So there was this one weekend I had gone back home to visit my family, and we had a family dinner. My grandparents were there, and just after the food got to the table and we were about to start eating, my grandfather says, whoa, hold up here. What's going on, Pops? Everyone, pick up your forks. Okay, we pick up our forks. Now put in your left hand. Okay. We're having life profit left-handed family dinner night. And so we ate dinner left-handed, and it was hilarious. I mean, we were
I can imagine. Food everywhere.
Food everywhere. It was a mess.
Yeah.
You're missing your face and everything.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. And that dinner stood out from all the others that really were together.
Sure.
And my grandfather actually died 2 months after that moment.
Wow.
This was one of the last memories I had. I was so thankful. And it was so easy to do.
Yeah. And it didn't cost any extra. It was easy, but it was
Didn't
rather
take any
intentional
time.
on his part. So
That's right.
that's
That's all it
so
took.
so cool. What an awesome and totally relevant conversation for our space. And thanks for sharing that to our audience. That's so awesome.
Yeah, Dustin, we're grateful that you're here, giving your thought leadership to a huge audience. Over 500 people were able to partake in your keynote, and there were still hands being raised to get some questions answered at the end. So very robust conversation. Thank you for what you're doing. For our listeners, if they want to learn more and want to hear more,
Right.
What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Sure. They could go to revoltaganstroutine.com.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Sounds very intentional.
Yeah.
Indeed. We do have to be a bit more intentional to make sure that we turn left instead of turning right all the time. So.
Excellent. Well, we will make sure that we connect with you and your website into our show notes. And we're just so grateful that you've taken time to sit down with us and inspire our audience to revolt against routine and life profit. So we definitely really appreciate that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much. And I'm so excited to see what you and others in the industry come up with. So definitely keep me informed. And I'd love to even go visit and see all the life profit that your residents are gaining.
We're going to hold you to it.
All right.
Let's
you put
do
it out there.
I'm in for it.
Let's do it. Let's be the bridge. And thank you for listening to another great episode of Bridge the Gap.
The podcast team wants to hear from you. If you're on Instagram, let us know your takeaways. Take a screenshot of the show you just listened to, tag BTG Voice, and we might just share your thoughts. Thanks for listening to Bridge the Gap.